Hi there everyone, Narukami here and welcome to today's video. In this video, I'll be talking about ways to make your music sound more unique. The reason why I want to talk about this topic is because I was having a Skype conversation with a friend of mine about music. He makes music as well, and as we were talking, he actually asked me a very intriguing question. He tells me that whenever he listens to music made by certain musicians, myself included, he says that he can point out that the song was written by a particular artist because that artist has a unique style in their music. I was flattered by that remark. Anyways, he then asks me, how do you make your music sound unique? How do you make your songs stand out from the rest? This was a pretty interesting question. I never really thought about this before. I couldn't really give him a straight answer because I didn't know the answer myself. But I thought it was such an intriguing question, intriguing enough to make a video about it. So a few days later, I sat down and really thought about this question. I looked back at my own music, and even other people's music that I thought was unique, and I tried to find the answer to the question. Finally, after a lot of careful thinking, I think I've found 3 ways to make your music sound more unique. Now before I continue, I want to point out that these tips aren't something you can use to instantly make your music sound unique. These are long-term pieces of advice that'll help guide you as you're working on your craft. Finding unique style is a very difficult challenge that you, as an artist, have to overcome. But if you keep working hard and if you keep these tips in your mind as you make more music, you'll soon find your own style that'll help you stand out from the rest. With that being said, let's start with tip number 1. Number 1. Think about the bored listener. I like to listen to music made by other musicians on SoundCloud and on YouTube. However, while most of their work is quite decent, I never really get invested enough to check out their other work. The main problem is that more often than not, their music is quite generic. That doesn't mean their music is bad, it's just that nothing about their music stands out. Oftentimes, they make one particular genre of music, which is fine. However, they often follow the cliches that can be heard within said genre. Think about your music from the listener's perspective. Listeners first got into your genre by listening to songs made by musicians more famous and more talented than you and me. The more music they hear within said genre from other famous artists, the more they pick up on the techniques, structures, and cliches that's often heard within your particular genre. Then they'll start looking for smaller artists who might be able to create music in this genre from a new perspective. Ask yourself this: when this bored listener comes across your track, will you have something new to give them, or will you give them the same old thing that everyone else already made? Think about it like that. Look at all the cliches that can be seen or heard in your genre and think about the things that you can change. If everyone else uses the same synth, then maybe use a different synth patch. If everyone else uses the same drums, then maybe use different drum samples or program different drum patterns. Whatever you can do to change what everyone else already did in your genre, do it. Present something that the listener has never heard before. Number 2, accept your weaknesses and your strengths. Another way to find your own unique sound is by understanding your strengths and your weaknesses. Looking at your work and seeing what's right and wrong with it will help set you on a path towards finding your own style. Sometimes this means that you'll have to completely change your style or genre of music completely. I know that sounds scary and it might not be the music that you want to make, but understanding yourself and making changes based on what you're good and bad at will help make music that's truly one of a kind. For example, before I made the music that I currently make, I wanted to make hip-hop music. Specifically, I wanted to make chilled out, organic sounding hip-hop songs like Nujabes or De La Soul type beats. I used quote-unquote real instruments in my track, like pianos, electric bass guitars, and real sounding drum samples. The result was not good. Unfortunately, that isn't what I was good at. What I was good at was making dance music. Before I was Narukami, I made electro house and complextro type music. I was good at making decent synths and heavy bass lines. I was also good at making songs with huge drops. But I still wanted to make hip-hop type music because I was pretty sick of making 128 BPM music. So after weeks of experimenting, I finally compromised and decided to make a blend of dance music and hip-hop beats, combining the thing that I was good at with something I really wanted to make. I think the end result ended up being pretty great. So look at your work, experiment with different styles, sounds, and techniques, and see what you're good and bad at. Then, forge your music based on what you think your strengths and weaknesses are. Number 3. Listen to as much music as you can. This is probably the most obvious piece of advice that I can give, but it's often overlooked or even ignored because, well, it's obvious. However, this piece of advice is probably the most important thing you can do to help give your music a new sense of style. Now, when I say listen to as much music as you can, I mean listen to as many different types of music, from different artists, from different genres of music. Oftentimes, people only listen to one specific genre, at least when it comes to finding inspiration for when they're making music of the same genre. Electro house artists will only listen to electro house, hip-hop artists will only listen to hip-hop music, and so on. While this may help you find your bearings and make you understand more about your chosen genre, it won't help you grow as an artist in the long run. What you need to do instead is to get out there and look for as many songs as you can. Build a collection. You can either buy songs off iTunes or you can get a physical CD if you want. Of course, these songs will have to be songs that you like. Once you've found a few tracks that you like, sit down, listen to the song, and analyze every element of the track. Directly or indirectly, these songs will influence you and your music. If you're ever stuck with a track, sit down and listen to the songs that you like. It could be one song or it could be multiple songs. Take the elements that you like and use them in your tracks. Of course, you should be smart about using these elements. Don't just copy and paste those elements and call it a day. That's lazy. Instead, what you should do is to try to find a way to recreate those elements in your own way. What you'll end up is with a song that's very inspired, but also very unique. I mean, hey, that's how hip-hop was made, and hip-hop is one of the most popular genres of music today. And those are my pieces of advice on how to make more unique sounding tracks. As you can see, these are pretty basic and even obvious pieces of advice. However, I think people often overlook things that are obvious. I'm not gonna lie, I ignore obvious advice too. However, in my experience with life in general, it's the most basic pieces of advice that always help me out in the long run. Because it's those basic principles that'll help guide you towards improving yourself. Hopefully, these tips will help you make more unique and awesome sounding music. Thanks for watching this video. Before I leave, I want to say that this is going to be the last video I make for a while. I'm going to be taking a break. Since the 4th of February in 2015, I've been working on music for literally 365 days, 1 full year. I think I deserve a break. I'll be gone for about a month, but a new Narukami track will be up on the 23rd of April, 2016. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like. If you don't like it, give it a dislike. If you have any more tips you'd like to share or you want to tell me that I stink, then be sure to comment them down below. My name is Narukami. Thanks for dropping by.